I'm looking forward to next Saturday. Okay, to the run, and then sea stories of the drunken sailor. Hey y'all, what's going on? Hey, welcome back to another edition of Drunken Sailor Sea Story Sunday. Before I get into today's story, I am going to give my best attempt at this ridiculous hard workout. I don't know what it is about the Saturday endurance bike workout, but it's brutal. They're just so hard to put myself into this every week. I don't know why I'm not having fun. It's always fun after. I'm like, yeah, I did it. But beforehand, it's like I dread it. Seems like it's a sign I shouldn't be doing it, but then I hear pros saying it all the time, so that they dread these really hard workouts. So I'm going to do it. I'm going to endure the pain. It's an hour-long bike ride with 20 minutes over race pace. So 2 5-minute intervals at 25% above my race pace, and 1 10-minute interval at 15%, which really is only about 10 watts of power, which I'm not even good enough to regulate that, you know. I'm just kind of all over the map. I just try to do whatever I can over the race pace. So I'm gonna get that done and then jump off with the transition as quick as I can. Try to keep that under 5 minutes. I'm actually gonna shoot for like that 4-minute area. Head out on a 15-minute run, and then I'll come back, get cleaned up, have a little snack, some food, and give you a pretty great story. What I do want to say about the sea stories, since this is only episode 2, I started thinking, like last week, I started off, I had already been in the Navy for about 1.5 years. Although I was brand new to my unit, I'd still had already had 1.5 years worth of naval experiences, all of which are pretty significant when it comes to my drinking career. You know, one thing when I joined the Navy, if you were 18 years old, even though the legal drinking age out in town most places was 21 at that time. This is in 1989. On base, you could drink at places that sold alcohol when you were 18. Little did they know. So, what I really want to do is kind of just to have a little bit more of a timeline. I kind of want to go back to some of my earlier drinking experience, some of the first, because again, there are quite a few were extremely significant up before last week's life preserver inflation story. So I'm trying to jog memories from 31 years ago and forward, and the drunker I became, the more addicted and chemically and physically dependent on alcohol I became. The stories are kind of foggy, you know. I should have some of my old sea buddies feeding me some information, because, you know, I told you, blackouts are a regular occurrence for me. So some of them, I'll tell the story as best as I can, just because I don't have the external information still coming in. So, and then time just fogs some of those really bad memories. But that's one of the big reasons why I want to do these sea sailor stories every week, is because it does bring all those kind of memories and thoughts, and reinforces why I know that I'm an alcoholic. I don't need to go and test that theory anymore. In my opinion, it's a proven, it's not a theory, it's scientific fact. I suffer from it. I always will. It doesn't go away. Once you cross into chemical dependency, you don't go back. So I'm already getting a little hot here. About 12 minutes in, another 3 minutes to work, hard work starts. So, long enough. I'm gonna get this done. I'm gonna put that hurt on. And then I'm gonna share a great story. All right, stay tuned. Hey. Hey guys. Hope this is cool. I thought I'd go with a little bit more of a sailor atmosphere. Some rain, watch cap look. Feels kind of authentic for a drunken sailor sea story. You know, my drinking really started in, like, I was young. 11 years old is when I was told that I first got drunk and threw up and just was ill. And I believe that probably started a trend in my life, but and I mean, at least that's where my body and my brain got introduced. It may have come earlier. I don't know. Maybe somebody gave me a little sip of a beer when I was 2 years old because I was so interested in it. I don't know. I don't really know about that, but I do know that I was told that at 11 years old, I got very drunk and threw up, and it was just kind of a miserable time. I was at a wedding, and it just kind of happened. In high school, I, would go to like house parties, and even then, like I didn't know how to drink, so I would like go to parties and like be keg, like drinking, and then the next thing you know, I'm like, oh man, I'm really sick. And then I'd find a place to throw up, and then I would start drinking again. And I don't even know how I got to like these parties and back. We walked a lot, but skateboarded, I didn't really ride the bus, but somebody was driving us somewhere in high school. And then in boot camp, there's no drinking in boot camp. I went to my A school to learn how to be a jet engine mechanic. And there was a little bit of drinking there. I think that's where it maybe I was kind of like, oh, I got some freedom. I can kind of do what I want to do. So we'd like I said, we go into some of these like bars that we're underage drinking at 18, but they let us in. I don't know what the deal was there, but on base, we could do that. So we would go like to the bowling alley, have some drinks, and then go out in town. And man, I don't know, that's nickel beer night. I don't even know how I was able to do that. Anyway, so it was a little bit there. And then I went to air crew school, which was a little more of like, had to be a lot more physical and very militant. Just a little bit more squared away in attention to detail. So I didn't drink very much there. It seemed like everybody was kind of on this, like, kind of just pumped mission, but we definitely went out. I definitely was like going to bars in southern Florida, not southern Florida, Pensacola, Florida. And we were going to bars out in town, and that's where I started having like mixed drinks. I started kind of getting introduced to those. And then search and rescue school was in Pensacola, search and rescue swimmer school. And again, it wasn't very much drinking, just the occasional maybe, like me and the guys drinking tequila sunrises in our barracks room, and not much else happening because it was so just like driven in the mindset of that school. But then I got to Fleet Replacement Air Crew School, which was a 6-month plus school that was teaching us how to become search and rescue swimmers and air crewmen on a specific aircraft platform, which for me was a H-46 tandem rotor helicopter. I should go like tandem rotor helicopter. And it was here that I really was like branching out. Like, man, I was like, a lot of the guys were a little bit older, they were like coming from all over different parts of the fleet, different experiences. So there was a lot of, mid-20 guys, early 20 guys that could go and get us like beers from like liquor stores, but we could still drink on base quite a bit because it was 18. You could drink on base when you were 18. And we had like, I felt like that was like college, man. It was just like house parties and, you know, just more of like this drinking until I would throw up kind of stuff. So that scene, like there's a lot of little stories like that just don't seem, I don't think that it's like, oh, those were probably significant stories, like definite warning signs that like, man, you're not drinking, but college movies about college people, that was like, that's what it felt like, was like frat house drinking. So I didn't think that anything was abnormal. The story though is that we would go to this to the SEAL team base. It was like an amphibious base in San Diego, and we would go there, and again the drink's 18, so we could drink. And like civilians could come on too. So a lot of times, so we would go to these like on base clubs, and that's where I would like try to learn how to pick up girls. And I thought I was a good dancer, and I thought I was cool and hardcore. And so I had a little bit of like this moshing background, as well as like hip hop. So I kind of was back and forth in between these two genres of music. And so I was like, trying to make, like, I'd been dancing with this girl kind of all night. I was like, oh, this is the girl that I'm kind of focused on. And she, like, we were cool, and it seemed, you know, like things were going kind of smooth. But then out of nowhere, this, like, other dude came around. And he started, like, messing my game up. And that made me mad. And I was like telling my buddies that I was like, man, this dude, you know, like this, what the hell is this guy's problem? And they're like egging me on, like, yeah, what's his, man, bro, blah, blah. And I don't even know. I can't tell you what they were saying. All I know is it fueled my fire. And the next thing I know, like this hardcore song came on. I shouldn't even say hardcore. It was just, but he was a country dude. He was like boots and spurs kind of guy. And I was kind of trying to be this, like, rocker guy. And so, like, this heavy metal song came on, and I went over to his table, and I was kind of like, hey, bro, do you want to, like, you want to go mosh? And he's like, what? What the hell did you say to me? And I said, mosh, you know, do you want to go mosh? And at that point, I went ahead and I uppercutted him out of his chair. And I hit him as hard as I could, and then I jumped on top of him. At that point, about 3 security guys got on top of me, put me in handcuffs, and then took me to the base police station. Now, somewhere between those guys jumping on me and me trying to be like, yo, it wasn't me, you know, like somewhere in between that point in time and the time I got to the police station, I blacked out. And I came around and I looked across, and there was like another buddy of mine who I had gone to the club with, but he was sitting in handcuffs across from me, and he just kind of gave me this look like, bro, we're in trouble. And then they escorted me back to my own base and turned me over to, this was the next morning, they turned me over to my command, which I was a student. I wasn't even like a member of the command. I was just a student. So I was brand new. Like I said, I've been in the Navy, I think at this point, still schools command. It was about a year. I had probably been in the Navy a year. Through search and rescue school, I had been given an accelerated meritorious advancement. I skipped. Like I went E1, E2, and then I finished that school, and they're like, you're an E4 now. Which meant a lot more responsibility, and you typically got more privileges, and just this, you know, and it was like, here I was, this kind of new guy with this rank. Rank has privileges, and I'm standing in a hallway in my dress uniform, you know, like they're like, hey, you're in a lot of trouble, show up tomorrow, you know, come back at like 1300 hours. You have executive officers mass. I was like, oh. And so I'm like standing in my uniform at parade rest in this hallway where everybody can like walk by you and they look at you and they want to talk to you, but they can't. So then they go get the story from somebody else. So you don't even get a chance to tell your own story. But it's humiliating because everybody knows that you're busted for something. I see the XO. The XO says, man, I don't know what your problem is, guy, but you assaulted a second-class petty officer, physically assaulted, and you're really lucky that this guy isn't going to press, like, charges on you. So he said, you got to go see the big guy, the commanding officer. So now I'm going to captain's mast. I've been in the Navy 1 year. I'm going to captain's mast because I physically assaulted a guy over a girl that I didn't even know. I see the old man. He says, Mr. Rafferty, you have gone above and beyond what we think is appropriate behavior. You've assaulted another individual, and I'm going to save you this time because this guy isn't pressing charges, but we can't let this go unpunished. And he took away my E4, and he made me an E3, which also means that I lost a lot of money, you know, until I could get that E4 ranking back, which I'm going to tell you now, it took a little bit of time. And that whole process is just, it was so humiliating to have to go through all that. And then I don't even know if I told my family. It was like, I had just bought a new car, you know, like, how am I going to pay for that? So the next thing you know, I'm kind of like struggling. I'm at this point definitely living payday to payday. As a brand new guy in the Navy, I get busted to E3. They say, we're going to let you stay in the school. I know now it's because it costs a lot of money to get me to that point. It doesn't make a lot of sense to kick me out. They're going to bust me in rank. They think that this is going to be the answer. Okay, we busted him. Surely he's going to shape up. So it wasn't like treatment or anything like that. It wasn't, you know, it was just, we're going to bust you. You're going to lose your rank. You're going to lose quite a bit of money for a while. And hopefully you can finish this school. I did go to finish the school, guys. It's an E3, and then I got shipped out to my command from California out to Norfolk, Virginia. And what happens next, I'm going to have to save for you next week. Drunken Sea Story, episode 2, is over. This is the first time. The first time I was reduced in rank. Man, I should have been, I mean, that should have been a clear warning sign. But you know what? Everybody around me was doing it. I just happened to get caught. Story and the saga continue next week. Thanks for being here, guy. Hey, subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Give me some likes. Throw some comments down there, man. If you got some drunken stories that just caused you a little bit of humiliation and still wasn't humiliating enough to think I got an issue, I got a problem with this drinking, let me know. Give me some comments. I hope you guys stay sober today. I hope today was, because raining or not, it's a great day to be sober. It's a great day to be alive. I felt the pain on the run and on the bike. Man, that bike hurt. My wife came down and was like, you sound awful when you or whatever you're doing down here. And I was like, this is the work. And she said, you should stop. I know she was joking, but I think it was like scaring them because I was grunting really hard. It was screaming. My neighbors might have heard me too. Anyway, guys, that's the longest video I've ever done. Hey, booyah! It just keeps getting better. Thanks for being here. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Peace.